Hello, and welcome to the Gaia update for the full moon in Taurus that happens on Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. I'm Adrienne Elise. Well, this full moon in Taurus is happening at quite a powerful time with other astrology. And there's a lot of massive rearranging and shifting that's trying to happen. So it's interesting that this full moon in Taurus happens exactly in trine to Pluto and Capricorn. It's telling us a little bit more about these times that we're in, as well as this upcoming 2020 astrology, when, especially in January, when Saturn and Pluto come together in Capricorn. It's a breakdown and a shakedown of our manifested structures, our belief systems, structures of authority, and in the structures of the physical structures of our world and authoritarian structures. So this full moon in Taurus is giving us an interesting glimpse into this whole breakdown energy. Now, Taurus is about our resources. It's the what we need to survive and thrive. And it's so when we're talking about resources, we're talking about money and that kind of thing, finances, but we're also talking about our inner resources. So Taurus is ruled by Venus, and a lot of the issues of Taurus can have to do with whether or not you feel you deserve. You know, it's about self-worth and whether we deserve to have what we need. And so this is really interesting because we know that Uranus is in Taurus now, and it's going to be there for the next 7 years or so. And Uranus is trying to bring new energies. It's like a shaking up of old patterns and bringing in new energies, new information, new technology, disruptive energy. So Uranus coming in to Taurus, it's disrupting the earth, the old patterns, the negative patterns of our earth, but also the negative patterns of our thinking, and our self-worth. So this is on the table right now, especially since we have all of this Scorpio energy going on and Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So of course, this full moon in Taurus means that the sun, it's opposite. It's exactly opposite the sun. That's when we have this full moon. So the sun in Scorpio and the moon in Taurus. And that moon will go over Uranus just before, the day leading up to this full moon. And then for the exact full moon in this really sweet trine with Pluto. And this is saying, hey, this breakdown, shakedown 2020 intensity is all about and can be harmonized by our self-worth, cleaning up, healing, and addressing whether or not we feel worthy of our resources. So our outer resources and inner resources, there really isn't, ultimately they're very much in alignment. And so when we're talking about having what we need to survive, we're talking about whether or not we feel we deserve. And so these are issues of the feminine, and with Venus as that ruler of Taurus, and it's everything that's been on the table over this last year, ever since that Venus retrograde in Scorpio last year, where we were exploring the shadow side of the feminine. And so it's a pretty interesting energy, but there's a lot of harmonious this full moon. Mercury's retrograde, in Scorpio, so that kind of has an energy of like swirling around in the muck. But there aren't a lot of difficult transits. Leading up to this full moon, we have Mars square Pluto, and that's kind of bringing to the table what's in the way of the structures of our life changing, moving forward, real momentum, and what needs to be broken down in order to move forward. And so leading up to this full moon, we have a lot of stuff coming to the table. Wherever you're feeling stuck or thwarted or not free, that can show you where this deeper programming lies that most likely has to do with your core level sense of self-worth or programming that might keep you from feeling worthy of this new chapter, this new energy that's trying to come in. It's like we've been so focused on the breakdown leading up to this 2020 astrology. And ever since we had that Pluto-Uranus square starting about 10 years ago, we've been leading up to this breakdown, the breakdown. But we're not focused on what's going to be revealed post-breakdown. And that's where we come in. That's the team here. That are these souls that are awakened and enlightened and understand on a deeper level what's happening and more affected by what's happening as well. But we're in a massive shifting time because part of the energies of 2020 is more people knowing what's going on an energetic level or being aware of feeling it, like coming out of the numbness, coming out of the, taking the red pill and waking up to what's really going on. And the more people are aware of what's been going on our planet, that's going to lighten the load psychically for a lot of these souls that have been really feeling oppressed by the collective energies and by the intensity of our planet. And those souls, it's time to really move ahead. So it's really important to make the most of this Mercury retrograde time, and particularly this full moon in Taurus, to kind of get your ducks in a row and get yourself feeling good about the next chapter ahead, what's going to be revealed and your role in it. Because the powerful thing about this full moon is that just after this full moon, we'll start to feel the energies of Jupiter. So Jupiter just will have already moved out of its retrograde shadow, meaning that it's full bore ahead through these last decan, or the last 10 degrees of Sagittarius, which is where the galactic center is at 26, almost 27 degrees. And so Jupiter is heading towards this galactic center, and it's very potent. Jupiter at home in Sagittarius, coming out of that retrograde, full bore ahead, and Sagittarius wants to lift the veil and see the bigger picture and the wider horizon. And so there could be clarity coming about your destiny, your path, kind of clicking into what this is all about and having it make sense instead of just, it's like we're having an opportunity. Right now we're in the daily grind. We're deep into the Scorpio this exploration of our deeper inner self and what's hidden down there that needs to be addressed. But then it's like lifting up out of that energy. And so to see a bigger picture of what this has all been about. And it's going to feel a lot better. For a lot of souls, I think this is a massive shift. So we've got to use this Scorpio Mercury retrograde time to the best that we can to face and be present and clear out what we've been avoiding in order to free ourselves up for the greater journey ahead. So right after that full moon, the full moon's on the 12th, and then we just have one more week left of the Mercury retrograde, and then on the 20th it moves out of retrograde. It will still be in its retrograde shadow, but right after that Mercury retrograde is when Jupiter and Venus both come together and move over that galactic center. So this full moon in Taurus in trine to Pluto is our opportunity to harmoniously heal, resolve, and these issues of whether or not we deserve. And I feel like underneath those issues of whether or not we deserve is an opportunity to hook back up to the truth of who we are. It's like maybe that's the permission we're ultimately waiting for, to be who we really are. And it's all on the table right now, but really a lot of harmonious energy. So one of the things that's happening exactly at this full moon is that Mercury is having its second of 3 trines with Neptune. That's part of this Mercury retrograde, if you saw my Mercury retrograde video. And that's a very harmonious energy of like a spiritual upgrade to our thinking. That exactly what I was saying, reconnecting to our spiritual source, getting our umbilical cord to the universe back hooked up. And so we can, get out of these trauma patterns of feeling disconnected and separated and lost and alone. And, this is the core, this is the end of that for a lot of souls. So it's almost like the Scorpio energy, go deep into that, because it's a total illusion and a lie and programming. that has been affecting you. And you can't actually lose your connection to source or to God because you're part of source. So can we start celebrating that and feeling that? I think the vibrational shift that's trying to happen is about feeling this and knowing this in us, in ourselves, and giving ourselves permission to be that container of divine light that the world needs so badly right now, instead of being stuck down in the mire, with the lower energies, because we thought that sacrifice was how we were going to help, and we were wrong, and we thought that we owed, there's a lot of old stories and programming that are coming up that don't make a lot of sense, but the core energy is around loyalty to lower energies. And is that what you're supposed to be doing here? Is that your work? To come and experience the pain of the collective? It's not serving you. And sacrifice, the energy of that word is, the definition of it is pieces, like cutting off pieces. And we can't do anything that we'd really like to do or be a part of this shift if we're not coming from a place of being whole and complete. And that's what is trying to happen, trying to be put back together. And this Taurus full moon is because of all the Scorpio energy and the water energy, and then Taurus and these issues around self-worth and having what you need and enjoy. Is it okay for you to enjoy life? It's all like stirring up this deep vulnerability. And maybe we have to go to those places to see that it's not really true for us. We got to go to those places and recognize where we've agreed to feel bad or be in pieces as a way to try to help this evolution. But it was a trap, to keep us ineffectual and to keep us away from our own power. And it's like when these souls come into this connection and this higher frequency vibration, it's game over on the planet for the control energies. And we're just coming closer and closer to this threshold type of place. But really beautiful energies within this vulnerability, within this facing our darkness and facing our shadow. There's really beautiful energies of support. And so we've got that Mercury exactly in trine to Neptune. 2 out of 3. The third one happens at the end of November and Thanksgiving Day. So this is really about connecting back up to the help that we have, to the blessings that we have with us, to each other. These connecting to these other souls that are on your vibrational frequency, and that gratitude energy, it's something you can't fake and you can't manufacture. It's like, oh, have gratitude, but it's like, it doesn't come naturally. I mean, it doesn't come just because you say, I want to have gratitude. It's a natural, organic welling up within you for a very, powerful trigger. And we're having opportunities for this right now, where it could be thank you to your higher self, your guides, for giving you that really difficult lesson 4 or 5 years ago that's now setting you free completely into a whole new vibration. Or maybe it's gratitude for the relationship that's showing you so much truth, stuff that might be been harder to find gratitude for, but now, especially with this energy of moving towards the galactic center, more awareness of the bigger picture. And maybe that allows us to have more gratitude and more that energy of like being so thankful for what's available, and the support that's available brings more energy of support, right? And the gratitude comes much easier as we're able to see that bigger picture of what's really going on and tap into the new energies, the new road, the new path, the higher vibrational frequencies in this spiritual revolution that's happening, that you're at the cutting edge of. And it's why you've been feeling so intense. But now seeing the bigger picture and having gratitude of being like, what if you're like one of the lucky ones that gets to be incarnate on this earth right now? So we've got that Mercury trine Neptune hooking us back up to source, hooking us back up to support, knowing we're not alone, feeling a fundamental shift in our way of thinking that is forging back our connection to source, a connection that cannot be broken. And so that's a very harmonious energy and really good around, because Mercury rules mutable signs. Neptune is in Pisces, its home sign, which is a mutable sign. And so it's about adjusting. And so Mercury in trine to Neptune is like major adjustment on our spiritual awareness and our feeling of connection. That was a big part of the illusion of the Piscean age, was that the control energies used a oneness principle and a religious and spiritual feelings to create, structures of religion that controlled people. And you have to go through those structures to get back to God. And this is where we're like, oh no, so silly, because we are God, right? Or we are creator, we are source. And so we're forging back that connection within ourselves with our own will. And so the other thing that's happening is that we've got Venus is basically very close to the galactic center at the time of this full moon. And it starts right around then. And we'll go through the end of the month, and then Venus will join, and together they go over the galactic center. And so that's a really potent and powerful energy of support, of seeing that bigger picture, of having this point of destiny. Sagittarius is like removing a veil and looking out to the wider horizon and seeing maybe why we've been going through all we've been going through. And that can help us forge back this connection to source, this unbreakable bond to our higher self and to the truth of who we are, which is spiritual, even though this whole world wants to negate that constantly. And so that's why it's like, this is an inward time. It is not a time to seek outward validation, because it's a hall of mirrors right now and everybody's projecting, and it's like, this world cannot recognize you. If anything, they'll tear you down, So it's a time to be internal and to cultivate this connection and to it's for you. It's all for you. And you got to let yourself have that space. A big, big energy of this time is allowing ourselves to have that meditative time to make these big adjustments, that mutable energy of this massive adjustment that is happening. And with that trine to Neptune, and just we can't receive that type of spiritual energy unless we can make our life quieter and have time and space for meditation. So if there was ever a time to put your meditation time, your quiet time first, it is now. And it can, again, just really pay off as we move into this next chapter, very potent and powerful energies of 2020. So the other thing that's happening is that Saturn sextile Neptune. This is a big transit that's been happening. It's a 2019 transit. This is the third and final transit of these, and it's very mystical and magical. It's got energies of timelines, heaven and earth timelines coming together or crossing or separating or whatever they need to do, but something good, because Saturn is our manifested world, and in Capricorn it's its home sign, so it's like our manifested world and all the problems that come with that, how we bang up against this world because it's just so dense, right? And then Neptune is this direct spiritual connection, our dreams, our visions, also our delusions, but it's saying it's time to dream something new and create something new and open up to possibility and hold that ideal that of a positive outcome from this experience. And so that is intense. We've been feeling that all the way through the whole month of October, these planets coming closer and closer into the sextile. And we'll feel it until the end of November as well. And so that energy is like, hey, sextiles are like creative solutions, jimmying the lock, little of this, little of that, and it's like, oh, maybe we thought this was a cold, hard world, like we had to just completely destroy it all and start over in a way, but maybe we can just do some adjusting. And there has been massive adjusting happening energetically that we're not seeing yet, but this is a really awesome energy, and you can individually use this energy in your meditation time to dream and vision and feel into, like, get real with who you, like, what you really want your life to feel like and look like. A lot of times we're like, I want to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to go, and then nothing is working out. This is how everybody's been feeling, right? But maybe we haven't been quite in alignment with that greater destiny, and that's trying to happen this month with that galactic center activation. And so what does that feel like, really? Like, what is it, because a lot of times we think we want something and then the reality of it isn't quite vibrationally appropriate. So we kind of got to get into the vibration of the life we want and not worry so much about actually the practical steps to get there, but feeling into new possibilities. Huge energy around this full moon, coming back, of course, to those issues of whether or not you deserve. And that is we're being shown with that trine to Pluto, that the breakdown and the great reveal has everything to do with whether or not you feel you deserve it. And so much of what we get so frustrated, I work with so many people and I see this again and again, and I can feel it in myself, where it's like just total frustration that things aren't working out in your life. And this has been just kind of the time that we live in, because we're bumping up and shifting and changing and bumping up against reality and having all these things come to the surface that are in our way. But there's this energy of that vibrational adjustment that's available. And so much of what we experience in life, we think is happening to us. Like, why is this happening to me? And we all can relate to that feeling, because it's like such an intense time to be on the planet, and it's actually true that there are forces working directly against us. But then there's this energy of, are you experiencing what you're experiencing because that's what you think you deserve? Are you still in that abusive, still creating abusive relationships because somewhere deep inside of you, you still believe that that's what you deserve, like that's your work, right? And that's this big shift, right? We're moving out of our work being the garbage and the shadow and the stuck and the walls and the obstacles and all that, and just massive paradigm shift, dropping all those old stories, shedding that Scorpio skin, and recognizing that all that is just an old story that was like, I kind of see a picture of this old skin all beat up and banged up. It's like the astral body of the traumas that you've experienced in your past life, and that did really happen to you, and you do really have those sensations, but it doesn't actually define you. It's not who you are, and we can just take it off. Be like, that doesn't fit anymore. It's so far away from who I really am. Do I have permission to be who I really am? Do I have permission to come out of those trauma patterns of keeping and creating the same old patterns again and again? Do I deserve? Is that what I think I deserve? It's really hard to look at that. It's like, really? Do I really feel that bad about myself that I think that I should be punished or kept in poverty or kept in abuse? It's deep programming. Can't get into the stories right now, but I've been shown again and again that these types of souls have been literally targeted with DNA programming in these certain lineages that's exactly telling you those lies. And so by recognizing that deeper hidden subconscious programming that says that that's what you deserve, and that's like your work here, that's what you're supposed to be doing, is suffering and struggling and staying and being thwarted, and it's the battle, keeping us stuck in that battle energy. And as long as we're battling that enemy, then it makes the enemy real. And this is a massive paradigm shift available to us, where we can come out of that battle and recognize where we've been complicit, recognize where we bought into it, and recognize these deeper programming energies that keep us thinking we deserve this treatment from the world, And when you come back into that spiritual connection, that definitely doesn't make sense. Because if you're a child of the universe and this pure spiritual energy that you wanted to bring to this planet and demonstrate, like, that should not be treated that way. And are you ready to value and honor yourself enough to show the universe you're ready to be treated in the way you deserve? And then there's energies that come up. Well, that's egotistical. It makes me think I'm better than everybody else. And these are just stories you've been told too, because it's like we all deserve to be cared for in a very loving, and God, energy creator, the consciousness, of that is pure love. It's unconditional. And we have got to start treating who we are on a fundamental level, our gifts and skills, as that precious, precious divine light. We have. Now it's not even that we earned this. We have worked for many, many lifetimes and evolutions to be able to manifest this in our energetic field. And the time is now. And maybe we didn't even know we could do it. But, all this is sorting itself out. And it's time, so a lot of this energy, there's really great self-care energy with the Taurus energy, like tapping into this Taurus energy of abundance and self-care and self-love, and being able to create the divine temple in your field, in your life, for your gifts and the truth of who you are spiritually to come in and tell the universe you're ready to respect it and honor it, and tell the universe you're ready to create that self-respect, that, this is what's required. I'm going to be in my divine light. I'm going to honor my divine light. I'm going to create a temple for my divine light. And you're not, it's like energies that want to work against that would just bounce right off. It's like, they're not even allowed to get anywhere near you, because the vibrational frequency is deep respect and honor and gratitude for this light and for this truth. And that's how it's going to be in your world, telling the universe that you're ready to jump out of that old paradigm and into the new paradigm and move into the energy of the garden of what we're creating here, the fifth dimensional earth, of the energies of possibility and magic and beautiful energies that are hidden in the codes deep in the earth, and these codes, being awakened and activated. And they're also trying to be activated in our DNA, but there's a lot of energy that's trying to block that. But once you get up over the threshold and allow for those DNA activations to some extent, and it out of the matrix, the lower matrix, just enough, it's harder and harder to go back into those lower energies and feel like that's appropriate. Because think about it. Maybe that's part of the punishment you bought into, that this is your work here, is to be on earth and be punished and be stuck in this prison of these lower energies. Because it's true, these souls that I'm working with feel so squeezed and so intense. And like, how am I even getting through my life right now? But that's because you're here in the transition team, right? So, of course, if you are more comfortable, the truth of who you are as soul spirit is more comfortable in higher vibrational frequencies, and we're here on earth to support the transition. These souls have also incarnated in the most difficult times in our evolution, and that is where we're at. So, but it makes sense. How would we get through this transition without feeling, the more intense and the more squeezed, the more heavy you feel, that's like the closer you're getting to breaking free. And then we're being asked and we're being shown and we're being supported and recognizing these deeper subconscious patterns and programming, that shadow energy that's keeping us in that loyalty to these lower energies and keeping us feeling like that's what we deserve. We deserve to be in pieces and abused and kicked around by this world. And we have to take the first step in honoring the divine gift of who we are, in order for those around us and the energies of this world to fall in line with our truth. And it's a sticky place, and a lot. I can just feel so much coming up. But what a potent and powerful and productive time that we're in. So keep that in mind. Make lots of time for this visioning, for this energetic reset, for this daily meditation and pondering and exploring these concepts around your life being exactly what you think you deserve. And because a huge reset available with this full moon in Taurus and trine to Pluto, saying, hey, it doesn't have to be so dramatic, such a breakdown. Maybe we can just kind of hop, skip, and jump over and just give ourselves a little bit of time in that new paradigm, in those higher vibrational frequencies, in that rest and that reset where we feel safe and supported on this planet. Just enough time so that when we do go back to lower energies, we recognize that that's not true for us. And more will get permission. But a huge breakthrough energy available right now with this current astrology. So I hope you can join me for this full moon activation. This is going to happen the day before the actual full moon on November 11th. And that's going to be at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so I look forward to seeing there. It's $10. This is a guided activation where we just kind of talk through the astrology, create a sacred space, go on a guided meditation. And so we can receive any healings, insights, information that might be helpful as we, go through this powerful journey in this intense time together. So thanks so much for hanging in there and being willing to be here and be you and breathe. And be a part of this adventure together. And I look forward to seeing you on that live activation or on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.